For example, planning the strategy for what you do can happen across games. Um, and I would like to organize. Um, well, no, I guess in the way that the story is going, typically per session you're supposed to get chances to use your spare time rolls.
Hmm.
Um, but
Yeah.
if you're setting right out at the end of this session to go do the thing, you don't technically have spare time. So I was going to suggest, in order to actually figure out spare time rolls and to get that done, that we meet at another point in time to film that or stream it for Dave's uploading purposes. However, it could go either way. We could also just determine that you don't have a spare time moment in this particular situation, and spare time would probably then happen uh, at the end of the
Sure.
next session.
Yeah. In terms of like progression and whatnot, what is it that? Because I assume that. Hmm. Well, I mean, like, okay, so at the end of the next session, wreckage, it'll
Huh.
be a chance for us to level up because it'll be 3 sessions deep at that point.
Yeah, you'll have
So,
according to the standard.
did you want to hand out like spare time points regardless, but we don't actually get a chance to use them, so we can bank them?
We'll discuss that.
Okay.
I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, it's up to
Um,
you. But in most cases, they say to sort of hand out spare time points at the end of the session.
right.
But since we haven't used any resources, really, for this session, there hasn't been any need to use
Uh,
to salvage stuff. And it's not like we have a
Scalp it.
chance. It's not like we have a chance right now to do that anyway, because
Right.
that is
You
the aim
definitely
of
don't
the
have the
next
resources.
mission.
That's
Yeah.
what we're going to do.
Yeah. So I think in this case it's okay to not get anything.
Yeah.
But the payoff for the next session might be bigger, for example. So I don't know. That's
Yeah.
up to you. However you want to decide on what happens. So
Yeah, I'll give it a good think.
Mhm.
So that's the session.
Mm.
Thoughts and criticisms.
um,
Compliments and smells and flavors.
I'm sorry if I was being annoying. I just, I don't know.
No, Cannon. Nothing about any of that was annoying.
no, it wasn't annoying.
No,
I mean,
I
I
like the
basically
way
the
diagnosed
character's
you
turning
with
out.
diagnosed you with Tourette's, man. That's pretty much it. Like I couldn't think of a better way of doing that.
I don't know. I just I felt delirious or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, as your character put it, you're put in a situation that you've never really been in before, so,
Yeah, just kind of dealing with it differently, I guess.
yeah. It turns out that physical is is used a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
the system doesn't have an combat stealth thing at all. Like, the
Sure.
only thing that even talks about stealth is in combat. And it doesn't have, like, a dexterity check. Like, strength and nimbleness fall under physical. So,
If you wanted to do a dexterity check for stuff, I mean, you could use reflexes. I mean, that's technically
Yeah.
what it is.
Like how you used intelligence for memory.
Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't be so bad.
right, but I mean, we're sort of... It doesn't say anywhere that I recall
Yeah.
that you even should be using attributes to make. We just sort of did that at that point, and I guess that can become standard rule. In which case, I probably would start using reflexes
Yeah.
for those things.
Because it makes sense that like you can have a very nimble character, but you can't have a very you can have a nimble character, but you can't have a very strong character because physical sort of incorporates both of those things.
Yeah.
But then strength and reflexes kind of separate them.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of weird. Like
There's just no answers for, well, at least what I find. For out of combat, there are a lot of gaps. Like trying to determine damage out of combat.
yeah, that was kind of
Which-
weird. Like I just kind of like smashed into a rock, and I got down. I was like, "Oh, that was a good sleep."
Yeah,
like
and I was just,
sort of.
well, I was just making up. I mean, I would change it from now. It'd be a little, well, because the way that the system works. So the weird thing is that, like, attribute damage is the only real type of damage.
Yeah.
But it's also really significant at the
Yeah.
same time. So combat mostly deals with endurance, which immediately refreshes at the end of combat. And because it immediately refreshes at the end of combat, I can't chip away your endurance pool outside of combat.
Yeah.
If I want to give you damage outside of combat, I can only go straight to your attributes.
Yeah.
Which feels like way too severe.
It does. I think this is mostly more like a resources game than anything. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. Where like combat is a drain on your resources rather than a drain on your health.
Right.
To the point where you can't defend yourself anymore.
So I should be attacking your resources instead of even your health.
Yeah. I mean, like you should see it as like, yeah, like for example, if we were to run away from combat, we wouldn't use our resources, but there would still be a threat.
Right. Yeah.
And if we were to beat that threat, then instead of losing our health, which is by far like one of the easiest things in this game to lose, the resources get chipped away instead, like your ammunition and whatnot, which ultimately refreshes at the end of a game, which in D&D terms is similar to like gaining your health back at the end of a session, sort of thing.
I think in survival, ammunition does not refresh.
No, it doesn't. That's the thing. Like you need to use your survival, your spare time points to search for it. So, in my eyes, it seems more like a way to chip away at someone without actually like. I mean, you're still eventually going to get to a point where you can't defend yourself.
I'll need to figure out a more satisfactory way because I do that a lot. I do a lot of things that aren't combat but still involve damaging you, or endangering you.
Yeah.
And I'll have to just I'll have to think on a more satisfactory answer for me to deal with that.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you watch Star Trek, whatever, and the red shirts die, and then like in this game, it's physically impossible for a red shirt to die by a ship explosion. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense unless they're literally shot out into space and they lose all their oxygen and just die. Like,
right,
like you get hit by explosion, you take 15 endurance damage, but then you get up and you're like, all right, cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. So maybe like you break a gun or your ammo goes flying out into a hole that you can't reach anymore. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's
and it'll certainly be easier to do those things, especially once you have some to play with.
Indeed,
I don't want to strip you what you have now. Speaking of which, the session has ended, so those weapons are all non-functioning. You still have them, and you still have the ammo that goes with them.
Do we get a chance to repair them if we get the chance to repair them?
So yeah, basically, if you get the resources to maintain them, then they become maintainable. You understand?
Yeah, I do. I get you.
So
I see what you put down.
I'm not depriving you of the base item, which you actually won't find elsewhere on the planet. It's just once you get the resources to maintain them, and as Tubbsy has hinted, those resources are likely at the wrecks, so to speak.
All right. Well, I think that was a pretty good session.
Yeah.
No real combat in this one, but that's fine. There was a lot of sort of character building for the most part. I'd like to see Cannon come back to his prior form. I think it's interesting the way that Cannon is going or being taken, I guess. But it's kind of weird. Like he was so aggressive in the first session, and then I don't know if you toned him down, Graham, or like.
I just thought of him differently.
Yeah, all right. I've kind of changed.
Like I said before, I kind of had a job and I had a purpose on the ship.
Yeah.
But now I don't.
It was all bravado.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. I've definitely changed how I wanted to play holes as well. So I don't know. Yeah.
It'll keep evolving. And as far as I'm concerned, it's always been my opinion that, especially for tabletop RPGs, that there are two types of ways that characters can change. And there's the way where you decide, like, oh, he should have just been like this all along. And in my mind, it sort of retcons, and he always was like that. But then there's the actual in-character transformation, the arc, where you say he was this, and then this happened, and he changed into this.
Sure.
And then you don't retcon it. But I've always been fine with the idea that as you play a character, if you discover that he makes sense, as a slightly different shade, then you can just think that he always was that shade, and you don't necessarily have to explain the change.
That's an interesting way of doing it. Okay.
Because we're not novelists. We're not editing a novel before we put it out. We're exploring it step by step. So the edits that we would encounter, he makes more sense as slightly more this than that. Just they retroact, in my opinion.
I think it's just that this is kind of the way he always was on the inside, but because of his job and just kind of his surroundings, he kind of had to be harder than I guess he really was on the inside.
Yeah.
So being like, he just doesn't know what to do himself now, so he's just kind of the only thing he can do is be himself.
He'll find his place, maybe.
Yeah, maybe he'll fall back into that whenever he.
Maybe they'll give him like Border Watch, and then he'll be that fucking guy again.
No, maybe something happens where he just he has to take charge and he has to, take responsibility and go back into that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Any comments about the story and the NPCs?
I like the Nephilim guy. I think he's pretty cool. I think he's been sitting in the jungle too long, smoking that chronic, But no, it's nice to see another Nephilim, and it's weird how the town people react to him. That's going to be an interesting thing for me to play around
Do
with.
the town people even know he's there?
So what he said was, specifically,
He said he was working through Hokan.
he works through Hokan.
Yeah, sorry.
So that may imply that the other villagers do not even know that he's a Nephilim.
Well, they wouldn't even know what a Nephilim is if they're 5 generations deep living on this planet.
Well, they could have been told, especially since most of them are Kaltorans. They do know, but Nephilim.
Yeah, that does make a lot more sense.
It's like 80% Kaltoran, 10% Legion, 10% corporate, 1% Nephilim.
Sure. Alrighty, well, I think this is a good time to end it. Thanks everyone for watching. This has been Die Party Fragged Empire, which is a beta RPG. You can go get this game. I'll just pull up the extra stuff here. Here it is. If you're interested in playing this yourself, it was a Kickstarter, but now that Kickstarter has ended. They made quite a bit of money, but you can still go and back the campaign on backerkit.com. I've linked it in the chat. So that's the best way to go and support these guys. We've been working with Wade, the developer, to come up with the show and make sure it runs and whatnot. But at this point in time, it is still a lot of us sorting through the walls and working out what works and what doesn't. So there's probably going to be some stuff that changes from session to session. But we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for session 3 for Fragged Empire, because this is a bi-weekly game. It plays on every Saturday at 3 p.m. PST, which is Californian time. But other than that, please give me a follow if you like the stream. It really helps me out quite a bit, actually. If you missed any of this, or if you want to see what happened on Fragged Empire previously, you can go check out the stream's archives on my YouTube channel. All of it's there, including the other Die Party stuff that we do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Do any of you guys have any shout-outs you want to go through before we end?
Not me.
Not me? Okay.
Shout out to the other stuff I do on this, which is just a meta shout-out. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, Lokes Nevada also is going to be dropping on the 16th. That's pretty cool. That'll be just on the YouTube channel. So
we'll be doing, hopefully, the second part of Magic World this Thursday.
Yeah, We'll see about that.
If all of our players can be asked to show up.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be interesting.
All
Yeah,
right.
it will.
I mean, yeah, just my game. I mean,
Yeah, Graham's got a game on the other Saturday that runs parallel to this one. It's called The Wrath of the
Right.
Minotaur.
So next Saturday it'll be
Yeah.
Wrath of the Minotaur.
That's right, yeah. And yeah,
He's an angry Minotaur, and then things happen.
he likes to burn my character's legs off. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. I'm going to end the stream here because I'm going to go eat some food because I am starving. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We out. Later.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.